This video shows how I made a steel rose using my plasma cutter and welder. This is not my design. I saw Chuck E 2009 make one on YouTube, so I thought I'd give it a try. I decided to cut out a template just in case I wanted to make another one, but really you could just draw them freehand straight onto the steel. I decided to cut out the pieces freehand rather than use the template as a guide for my cutting torch. This gives the petals a much more organic look because my hands are far from steady. I'm cutting out one petal for the centre and then 3 petals in 3 layers to make up the flower. I'm cutting all the pieces out using 2mm mild steel. I'm using a piece of 6mm rod for the stem, and I've tacked the single petal onto it. This single central petal needs to be curled right round, so it needs a little bit of a bending and beating to get it right. Now it's a relatively simple process of evenly spacing 3 petals around the centre and tacking them as I go. And then giving them a mild beating just to get the shape right. It's coming along nicely, and it's actually starting to look like a flower now. So I just continue the process of bending the petals to something like the right shape and then tacking them on to the outside of the existing flower. To make the flower look a little bit more realistic, before I put the last layer of 3 petals on, I'm just going to bend some of the petals out a little bit so that it opens the flower up a bit. Here's the flower finished. Next I need to just put on a couple of leaves down the stem, give it a buff up, and it'll be finished. I've just used a bit of 6mm plate as the base. And here it is with the leaves on, looking okay. Now I'm going to buff some highlights on the wire wheel, just on the edges of the petals and the edges of the leaves. So now when I finish it off with some clear lacquer, you can see the highlights of the leaves. And I've given it a very light overspray with some red paint just to give the hint of red on the petals. This rose proved to be a big hit, and I ended up making 2, one for my wife and one for my daughter.